Welcome to So Guided, a spiritual travel guide for the curious.
Join us as we dive into the mystical, high-vibe ways we can connect to the universe and ourselves. We are trying anything and everything woo-woo. Whatever the result, mind-blowing, unbelievable, or hilarious, we promise to share in truth.
Ready to explore? Suspend disbelief and let's discover the mysterious together. Hello and welcome to another episode of So Guided. Today we are talking about astrology and very specifically birth chart readings. You got questions, so do we. Let's do this.
Woo-woo. All right, so do two this week because I have none.
All right, I have a funny one I'm going to do. I have a part one for now and a part two after we go through our readings.
Ooh.
Part one, I just put on Instagram, but I have been asking forever what my idea of intuitive design is. I mean, how many times have we brought it up? This is something that I know exists in me that I'm going to create one day. I've never felt stressed about when it was coming, and I never understood what it meant.
Right.
We've talked about this.
Yes.
I mean, we've been talking about this for 4 years maybe. And I have this weird feeling, almost like when you know you're going to be a mom one day.
Yeah.
You just know. I always felt like one day I'm going to figure it out, and I don't feel rushed one day. Well, that day was yesterday. And I sat that morning and I did meditation. It's new moon. So I sat, and it's supposed to be a really good one for like joy, connection. So I was focusing on these things, and ego-wise was trying to direct it towards joy and happy and curious, and thought that that's what I was kind of manifesting. But ultimately my meditation kind of led me more towards career and joy and inspiration in career. As my wish that I ended on with no direction.
This is during your meditation?
During my meditation. And I go to take a shower, and I actually was I had intention with my shower because I didn't have time to take a bath. And it was a watery Pisces new moon. You're supposed to be in a bath. So I was like, all right, I'm going to really be thoughtful in the shower. I get in the shower, and I'm not kidding, immediately it hits me like a ton of bricks.
Oh, the best ideas come in the shower. That's so good.
I figured out in 1 minute what basically my woo-woo interior design business is.
I'm so excited.
And I felt the full body chills. I come out and I look outside, and I have certain animals that live outside my house. You know what's around your house. Everyone does. So there's the water outside, and there was a swan. I've been here off and on for 3-4 years in this house. Never seen a swan in my life. There's never been a swan here ever. And then I said, oh, swan, if you're for me, come closer and like come to the closer side of the harbor. And then I go in the other room, come back, and it's exactly where I imagined I wanted it to be. And it's looking up at my window, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I get ready. I knew it was a sign. And then a couple minutes, like I go get ready, and I look again, and there's 2. And then I go to work, and I'm working here right where we're sitting, and I look out the window, and an entire family of swans is outside the window while I'm working on what I came up with. And at the end of the day, they left, and here's today. They aren't here. They're not back. My guess is they won't be. That was my sign. Never had a swan sign.
A swan song? A swan sign? I like it. Oh my God.
Yes.
I need to know. Are you telling the idea or are you telling me later?
I'm telling you at the end.
Oh, I have to wait to the end? I've been waiting. You texted me yesterday that you had the epiphany. I've been dying to know.
There's a reason I'm waiting.
Oh my God. Okay, this is very exciting. So if you guys were able to pull your birth chart, welcome back. You have your birth chart in front of you. And what we are going to kind of go through today is what that looks like, what it means. And one of the first things you'll see is the sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising. And if you take anything else from today, it's how important those 3 signs are to every individual. And as we talked about, most of us know our sun sign.
Yep.
We're like, that's what it's ingrained in us. That's what you're taught. People are like, we're loud and proud Scorpios. People are, like diehard Capricorns. Everyone has their sign that they know and love. And I feel that they are part of that sign and really relate to. And that's your sun sign. And what the sun sign actually means is it's your core identity. It's your zodiac sign. It is represented in your heart chakra. It's your true self. And it holds your soul's mission and purpose. This is what you came on earth to grow into. And if you think of this whole chart as a stage and you consider the planets as your cast of characters and you consider the houses as the different signs and how they impact those cast of characters, your sun sign in this ship or on the stage is the captain. It's the producer. It's the head manager. It's on the stage it's the lead actor is what it really is. And that's your sun sign. So the next sign that's important is your moon. So your moon is your inner child. That is your emotional self. That is how you relate to life emotionally, how you behave, what you feel and how you feel. And so my moon is Virgo. And your moon is
Scorpio.
Okay. So that is basically how you kind of feel, and that's your inner child. And one of the things the lady told us, which she said a lot, that's how you mother yourself. So if you think of like if I had a little Virgo baby and I wanted to take care of them and I wanted to be kind to them and if I knew that my baby was a sun sign Virgo and I wanted to make sure that they were the best mothered version, that's how I should be taking care of myself. So how you would, if Virgo likes order and likes this certain things, that's how you would mother. So you have to, how you take care of your inner self is what your moon is. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay. And then the last really important one, the last and most important sign is your rising sign, which is also called your ascendant. And this is how you present yourself to the world. This is the pair of glasses that you wear and how you see everything. It even encompasses your physical body, your appearance. It's really how you perceive the world. So you put on those glasses and you see the world through the eyes, in my case, Virgo. So my sun sign Scorpio, my moon is Virgo, and my rising/ascendant is also Virgo. So I see the world through the eyes of a Virgo. And then your rising is
Scorpio.
Okay, perfect. So you're triple down Scorpio. I'm the sun Scorpio, moon, and rising Virgo. So I think for this purpose, I'm going to try to keep rising as the word we use, just so it's not going back and forth. But rising and ascendant are the same thing. And why this is so important and why this is where the house starts. Your rising sign is the sign that was on the horizon when you were born. So it's the first point in your chart.
Yeah. And when we really got into learning about sun, moon, and rising, I think the most important thing to just pull out of is rising is almost the integral one that we kind of missed along the way. So I was telling you before how I just heard someone who's an astrologer say that before they started doing the columns of sun signs, the astrology columns, and kind of commercially broadcast the sun sign out, they were referred to almost solely your rising sign. So in the olden days, you would know that, and that was the one you'd learn about. So it's twisted over time. The reality is all three of these are very important. And one thing that I thought was so cool in our whole discovery of this is we didn't know about.
No.
If someone asked me, so all of my woo-woo podcasts I listen to, the hosts actually start by asking their guests, what's your sun, moon, rising?
Yeah.
It's also known as your big three. So if you ever hear that terminology, so if you got nothing else out of today, I can't express enough how much we've come to know ourselves by learning just our sun, moon, and rising.
Yeah.
So even extract yourself out of birth chart right now. If you just looked up sun, moon, and rising, I think it's so cool. And I also think one of the biggest astrology misnomers we hear about all the time is someone's like, oh yeah, I'm a Leo and it just doesn't feel like me. Well, this is why there are two other rich layers, and then P.S., the whole chart we're about to get into.
Right.
But really, just if we bird's eye view these three, that's your horoscope. These are the three you should be looking up. In fact, I've now learned to look up the rising sign for people I love when I'm looking up horoscopes, now knowing what I know. And one of the biggest things once you get in through the walkthrough is that the rising sign kicks off the whole pie chart.
Yeah.
Not the sun sign.
Exactly. And I would say, for somebody who I totally relate to Scorpio as a sun sign, and when I found out that Virgo was my moon and rising, I was kind of oh, I don't relate to, I don't know.
You were mad.
I was I don't know much about Virgo. And I'm I don't think that really relates to me. My brother's a Virgo. I don't see, so I'm kind of familiar, but didn't see it as myself. And then as I started peeling back the layers and understanding, I totally have aspects of that. Like there are so many innate things in me where it's like, I like to think things. I like to learn things. Like those are different ways I see the world. I'm curious. Like those are all Virgo traits.
You're the forever learner.
Right.
And
yeah.
like,
and those are like
inquisitive and organized in work. And
I can even now put that towards like, oh, that part of me is my rising. That's how I present myself in the world, by asking questions, by being curious, by wanting to learn more. And then the Virgo part of me that's like my inner child is that I like to think about emotions versus feeling them. And that's what Virgos do. They like to like they're very thought, like in their head, thinking, processing, and like figuring things out. And I'm like, oh, as like a emotional self, like I sometimes block my own feelings, and like that's such a Virgo way of looking at it. So I've even been able to kind of put together like which moon or rising it like the Virgo plays into.
But what like a great understanding of self. And like just even as the example of the two of us. So we met, and one of our first bondings was we're both Scorpios. Yeah. And if we all bond with our fellow, of course, sign members, right? Your buddies. And yet you and I are so different. We definitely have Scorpio traits, but there are things that I'd always be like, but this is really different. And wow, does this make sense now?
Oh my
God.
God.
It's layered nuance.
I was laughing because I was going through this. I was thinking of you and when we do this podcast. And sometimes I'll go so in depth. I'm like, oh my God, we got to share this, this, and this about like these learnings, what we learned. And you're like, that's boring. And I'm like, it's not boring. It's freaking awesome. And I'm like, oh, because I'm like this Virgo learner who wants to share and like know all of it. And you're like this more Scorpio, like let's get to like the deep depths of it. So it's so interesting. I've totally seen that even in our working together.
I love that you say that because exactly our friends who are listening can see this dynamic playing out. That's why one day when we interview, you're our interviewer. And also like on subjects, I learn different than you. I learn by absorbing and I learn by doing. It's literally going to be in my birth chart, is that I don't gather info by you talking to me. I actually have to experience it or else it doesn't resonate. Even how I would speak on the show, I'm going to talk from my emotional depths. And a lot of times I skip the surface stuff that's really fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And you want all the info in the world out there. And so anyway, there's an example.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's like, and it would make sense if you're rising a Scorpio. Yeah. And that's how you like see the world from this like feeling, emotional standpoint. Okay, so sun, moon, and rising. I'm going to like back up and just try to have you guys, if you don't have your birth chart in front of you, just try to explain it to you so you can kind of like envision it as we go through this. So basically it's a pie-like circle. That's your birth chart. And it's divided into 12 slices. Each slice represents a house, which is an area of your life, like your career, relationships, home life, whatever. So the first slice of the house, like each house is the same for everybody. So each house is the first house is self and identity. The second house is value and possessions. Third house is communication. Fourth house is home and family. Fifth house, creativity and romance. Sixth house, work and wealth. Seventh house, partnership and marriage. Eighth house, transformation and shared resources. Ninth, philosophy and travel. 10th, career and public image. 11th, friendship and goals. And 12th is subconscious and spirituality. So those are each of the houses, and that's the same for everybody. And so if you were to picture this pie as like a compass, the west is where it begins. And then so that one is right underneath the west, like right at that 9 o'clock. So if it was a clock. Mm-hmm. So that's where the first one starts, and all the houses are the same. Now where it changes and what's different is where your rising sign is. So again, my rising being Virgo, that's sitting at that 9 o'clock spot on the clock, sitting at that west in a compass. And so my first house is ruled by Virgo. And so my first house of self and identity is ruled by Virgo. Then it will continue through each house, like counterclockwise by the order of the signs. Mm-hmm. So my second house, therefore, is Libra. My third house would be Scorpio, and so on. And so your first house is Scorpio. Mm-hmm. And then your second house, your values and possessions, second house is ruled by Sagittarius. Right. Right? And so on. And that's where it's different for everybody. So certain aspects of the chart are fixed and they're the same, but then that ascendant really impacts where each of the houses are ruled by. And then the second part is like where all the planets fall.
So where are your characters hanging out?
Right, exactly.
So where are they? And that influences everything.
Right, exactly. And so where the characters are, they represent different aspects of your life. So for example, the planets like Venus is responsible for love. Mars is responsible for action. So those planets each represent different aspects of your life. And the houses and if the planets fall in the houses, that's like where those are impacted and where you feel those. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. That's kind of how we're looking at the chart. That's what we're like thinking about. The planets all have a very different characteristics too. And those, of course, are impacted by where they fall. I can share with you what each of those planets are, what each of them kind of responsible for.
Yeah. So if you do have this chart out that we asked you to do, you could actually kind of take a peek at where yours is while you're looking at it. I do have to say, as a side note, we are going through this, but you could tell why it's awesome to have an astrologer explain it all. This is a lot.
Well, and it's also like, here's the thing. We're giving the overview of like what it is and what it means, and we'll share some cool things. But like, of course, it's way more interesting to find out about yourself.
Yes.
Like, because they're the ones sharing like, oh, this is, like, for example, I have Jupiter. I think it's actually in my second house of Libra, which is like value, possessions, how I see myself. And so that one is like, Jupiter's like one of the biggest planets. Jupiter is a lucky planet, no matter where it falls in your chart. So wherever that falls is where you have certain aspects. Like I look at the world with an optimistic approach, and that's like some of the things she told me. And I was like, oh, that means a lot more to me than like just sharing what you want to know where your own plans are is basically what I say.
Right.
So these are what the planets are responsible for, or like what they impact. So Mercury is communication, thinking, and learning. Venus is love, beauty, values, and relationships. Mars is action, energy, desire, and drive. Jupiter is growth, luck, expansion, and optimism. Saturn is structure, discipline, responsibility, lessons. Uranus is innovation, rebellion, change, and freedom. Neptune is dreams, intuition, spirituality, and illusions. And then Pluto is transformation, power, regeneration, and deep change. So there's your planets. Let's talk about some of the fun things or cool things that we notice in our chart that might be applicable to some other people.
Yeah. So just though to lay the scene about our birth chart reading, right? Yeah. We were at a dinner party and a friend came in and said, I just met with somebody for an hour and a half who literally nailed every element of my life, right? And you and I were like, immediately we need this info. Yeah. So we did it. And before I even get into it, I think that like, just again, broad scale, the thing that knocked my socks off, I just remember we did this. We were both busy with work. It was a really rough time of year. This time last year, I was in the thick of it and not woo-woo at all. And this made so much sense of my life. What is so cool about the birth chart, just from the overview, is that it nailed every element of my life. Our readings are an hour and a half deep. That's why there's a secret recording out there where we went through our charts. But we realized only best friends would want to hear those details. But that's the crazy thing is once it gets into it, once someone reads it, when you go through house by house and someone explains what all this means, down to minutia. And actually, a lot of minutia was on target. I heard things that even went down to you were meant to be an entrepreneur, but not with a big team because you can only create alone in the room. And that's how I literally schedule for people not to be in my studio when I'm designing. Like, so what's so wild about the birth chart, and so like, this is my sales pitch. It tells you so much about your life. And one of the really cool things I thought this woman did, this particular astrologer, who of course will share, is that she kind of talked about your strengths and weaknesses of your placements. And so why is it important? By knowing where these are, you actually learn why things are hard for you and how to make it better. So it felt like an astrology therapy session. Yeah. So that's just like so cool, right?
Well, and she's spoken in terms of superpowers and shadows, which I like too. So she was like very high on like, oh, this is your superpower. This is something that whether this placement here makes you more psychic or this makes you persuasive, this like placement here does that. There was also like the shadow of this. And so she like warned you. And one of the things I liked too, like she was telling me in shadow examples, like for like Virgo, a shadow is to be an overthinker and to be too self-critical. And so one of the things she said, which I think can apply to anybody, is in any shadow, it's if you know that that's the shadow aspect or you find yourself doing something like negative, like with the self-talk, she was like, just address it and say like, oh, hey, shadow Virgo, like I know this is what it is. I'm not going to feed this. and it's going to like disappear. If you don't feed the shadow, it doesn't grow. And that's what she kind of said across the board with any of the shadow aspects. If you don't play into it, because everything has a black and white, a yin and yang, as they say. Like there's a night and day to everything. There's like those, it's how like the universe operates. So of course, with all the positive, there's technically a negative. And so if you look at it as a negative, but there's that shadow. And so you can really address it and move away from it. And like be able to like, the awareness helps.
I agree. Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. And I did like that. So one of the other things that like when she was talking, there were placements or things that like we've all heard of most of these planets.
Yes.
Right. But there was a couple other things that I had never even heard of that she spoke about. And one of those is Chiron or Chiron. It's spelled Chiron, but I think she pronounced it Chiron if I remember correctly. And that's a placement in everyone's chart. And that is the wounded healer. So in astrology, this was an asteroid that represents our deepest wounds and the path to healing them. So depending which house it falls in, that tends to be where there's been like some sort of like hurt, and you might experience that wound, but it also, again, it opens your eyes about ways to like focus in and be able to solve it and make it better. And one of the cool things about this too is that you're supposed to be able to like help other people heal this. So wherever that is in your chart, you have the ability to help others like move forward and heal that. So there's like, I thought that was a neat one that I had never heard of. That was like something that's like a big part of a birth chart.
Right. And what was cool that we uncovered was that we had ours in the same place.
Yes.
Right?
Well, one of the things, which is funny, is like we were going through each other's birth chart. And we're always looking for evidence of like, is this real? Is this hokey? And so one of the things that she had told me my destiny was, which is also cool because you can get like your destiny based on this. She told me like my destiny / soul purpose was to come to find self-love. And so, and it makes sense with the millions of other readings we've had, like the self-critical, the birth, all this stuff that I'm learning. I'm like, yeah, of course, self-love. And then when you're looking at it, you're like, uh-oh. I'm like, what? You're like, oh no. You're like, oh no. And I'm like, what? And she's like, she told me I have like the same purpose. I have the same destiny. It was to like for self-love. And so of course we're like, oh no, it's a scam. We all have the same purpose. And so luckily though, upon like our charts are different, but upon like further like investigation, we found out something very interesting about our charts, that our Chiron is directly across from our sun sign. And so when your Chiron like opposes, which means directly across the chart from your sun sign, that means that your actual, one of your purpose is to find self-love, because it makes that wounded healer like that much stronger. And it actually is like an internal wound that you need to heal yourself. And so then we got all happy again.
Yeah. We're like, oh, okay. All right.
We got like, okay, it was like the evidence shows that she wasn't just like BSing us. Right. It was actually further to show that like, okay. So again, one of those cool things that we did find some simpatico there.
And another thing that I have to back up to is because we're saying, oh no, was that generic? The irony of the whole reading was it was so not generic. No. I don't think I've ever been able to say this from a reading. I'd say 90.99% of the information provided in an hour and a half was accurate for me.
Well, what I like to, you want to know why though?
Why?
It wasn't her, like, no. It wasn't her making it up. It was an actual pulling of it was the stars.
That's right.
And she's just reading it because she's just like reading. We told you guys to pull your own, you can pull your own and then have it printed out of what it means based on this. And of course she's interpreting it because she's a professional and she knows like how these all play together. So she's very well versed in it. So she was amazing to explain it to us. But in fact, she's just reading data. Yes. She's not like, which made it even more real because it's not like her coming up with whatever, it was like, here's the map.
It's a statistician. It's literally someone who's taking data, and her responsibility, or any astrologer, is to interpret it. I think it's infused with intuition, I'm sure, and expanding upon points, but it really is the planets. Our birth chart, the stars, gave her roadmap to walk us through ourselves. That's the thing that's so cool about this. This isn't where someone could get you wrong. It's in the stars.
Right.
It's literally in the stars.
So where do you have any houses or any areas that you like saw most of your planets?
Well, yeah. So if you didn't notice, being Sun, Moon, Rising, Scorpio puts my chart in a weird spot to begin with. So in my first house, which I think you had something similar, my first house has Sun, Venus, Moon, Rising, and Uranus. There's a lot. So this lifetime was about me. It's in my
that's yourself.
So her words that really resonated with me was, this lifetime is about me, not the we. That interprets very heavily for me. Not only is it about me, and she said this is not a selfish version of it. It's exploring self, understanding evil, dark parts. She's like you could face your shadow in a way most people can't because you came here to figure that out. So it's not like, here I am kind of stuff.
Right.
And then she not only said, is it not about the we, but because it's opposite of the Chiron you just spoke of, I actually have injury in the we. I'm afraid of the we. I'm afraid of friendships. I'm afraid of being hurt. I'm relationship-wise, have a we issue, if you will, of trust. And it's literally in my chart. I know. Yeah. So that's pretty big for me, right? Another one that I loved, because it's in the first house, but I guess it was very, very notable, is Venus is on the line. So it was the minute I was born. So she said Venus is one of the biggest neon signs in my chart, ruling my life. So this won't be surprising how it will affect you. First, which I like to hear, is it's uber duper super loving. Like just like the heart of everything is love. And even though I'm Scorpio and I could be bitter, whatever, like I could love a stranger on the street. Like that's something I feel. Yeah. But the other part of it is it's all about aesthetics and the way things look and everything around you. And of course, that's my life. Yeah. My life is your career, design and everything. And even before this, I designed weddings. So it's always been about that. It's always been around me. So I thought that was kind of neat. And that felt really,
perfectly on
fire. And then one of my interesting things with all the planets kind of being loaded was that I have a lot of opposing forces that aren't typically together. Where I have she said, like Sun and Uranus don't care what people think, and Moon and Venus, now remember, they're all in the same place, care a lot of what people think. She said I'm in an eternal struggle of, I don't give a fuck, to I care so much. I care so much. Please say you like me. Please say you like me. Which feels like literally my struggle every day of my life. I resonate insanely deeply with that. And again, Instagram's one of those things on my professional side. I don't like to be out in the world. I love being out in the world. I don't like to be out in the world. It's literally every day. Anyway. Yeah. So that was one of my big ones.
That's cool. Well, and one of the things that you mentioned, which was you have Venus so close to your line. One of my closest to my ascendant, so my rising, my closest is the moon. And so actually since I'm Virgo, but my moon is almost exactly on the same line. She said that was really interesting too, because
what does that mean for you?
Well, she said what it meant was that you're deeply psychic. You know how psychic you are, deeply psychic, because they're so close together. And she also said that means you come in wide open with a wide open aura, because your emotional self and your inner child is so close to how you present yourself to the world and how you are, which means you're a very open body from an empath. Yeah. And so she went into this ability to feel emotions, read a room, to really being able to even as a small child take in everything that was going on. And one of her big things with that, can you talk about the shadow, is the need for protection. And she was she went into a whole visualization of putting a bubble around myself. Right. She's because of they're so closely tied together, it just makes it you don't want to take on other people's energy. Right. You have to be able to protect yourself.
So there's a fun nugget. I think didn't she give you a protection meditation?
Yeah, she did.
So that's so valuable to learn.
Right,
and what I also think cool about embracing for you, because I've always said this, we've said this, everyone has a certain version of intuition and we think everyone's psychic, but to hear that has major placement for you, we know this about you. You don't embrace it often enough of exploring what is your psychic side. You have it, but I think often we think of the cool mystical side of psychic. Psychic, the word isn't what we're thinking. We're going to someone. Psychic is.
Oh my God! So,
do you know what I mean?
I know exactly.
Psychic isn't what going to buy a psychic reading.
Well, one of the things I'm so glad you said it, because one of the things she said to me, and I just re-listened to it yesterday, so I thought it was cool. But to your point, I get psychic. I'm well, I'm not psychic. I'm not telling you the future. Mm-hmm. I'm not necessarily telling you exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. But what she said, and again, because it's coming through the Virgo, because it's coming through that sign. She's like, you're psychic, like you get downloads, like you'll know how to solve a problem instantly without even knowing why, and you'll know it's right. And I do that all the time. Like she's like, in your career and your things, like someone be like, oh, I need an idea, and I come up with ideas instantly. And like she's like, it's a direct line to spirit for like problem solving, because it's through that Virgo vibe, which is like, you know, so it's like problem solving, it's getting things done. And she's like, so your psychic ability is more like downloads that just like instant hits that you don't even know like how you got them. Isn't that so interesting? Because you're right. When you hear psychic, like I'm like, oh, I'm not really like telling you the future. Right. And I'm not like reading like a medium. I'm not seeing like, you know, like I'm not talking to, you know, my grandma every day who passed away. Like, so you think it's like, no, but she did put it in, and thank you for bringing that up. She put it in that point. So it's always good to be reminded that there's other ways to so like be connected by spirit. Yeah. So that's good. I think that's really cool. That's really cool. You were loaded in the first and the first half. I only have planets in the first 4 houses. That's the only place I have planets. So the self, identity, values, communication, home, and family. I have no planets anywhere else. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is that the chart, again, remember it's pi, it's split into a lower horizon. So the first 6 houses are considered like the night, and they deal with more personal, internal aspects of your life. So if you have more planets falling here, you came to work more on internal growth, soul growth, than external. And so it's really associated with inner work. And then the top, like the 7 through 12, that's like considered the day. And so if you look at that, and if more of your planets fall there, or as your planets fall there, that is about like the external. And so those are focusing on like your public life, outward achievements, career, social status, relationship. So those are all like, again, kind of you said the me and the we, like those are the we, the them, like the things external. And I'm pushing my hands up, showing you external on the top of the chart. So when to have all of my planets on like those first 4 houses on the bottom of the chart, it really is very much like an internal soul growth that I'm here for. I love that. So again, like here's the reading, like identifying something that's so validating to hear. Yeah. You're here to figure yourself out. It is. And the love self. Well, and I think it's right there. Right. And I think that's what's cool too. You guys can like, you know, if you print it out, you can get a quick snapshot of like where the most of your, like, and where some of your, my Libra is my second house, and I have 4 big planets there. So Libra actually has a big impact on my life, and that's like the scales of justice, like equal, like, and that's very much about balance. And I see that a lot. Like I'm very balanced in things and want things to be fair. And so again, when I start justice, I'm all about justice. But when I start looking at a lens of that, it's very cool. So what I wanted to share that we mutually found out was our destinies were pointing, the node pointed both of us to the exact same area, which is the mystic and spirituality. Well, and slow down and back up for a second. I didn't say slow down, but I don't know if anyone even knows what a south node or a north node is. Like another, because we certainly did not. So another part of the chart that no one's ever freaking heard of, but that's pretty cool. It's really cool. Is that there's a south node and a north node. So it's another little, like the little symbol on the chart. And the south node shows your past life, if you believe in past lives, or just like if you don't believe in past lives, it's what your soul came knowing and having already, like having that skill set. And so it's learnings that you bring to your everyday life. So mine is in the 6th house, which is like work and health. And so what she was saying is like in my past lives, I do believe in past lives, I was probably very busy. I did a lot. I got a lot of things done externally. So I come here knowing how to get things done already. And I can get things done. I'm a doer. I'm action orientated. And so my south node sits there. Is yours your 6th house too? Yeah, so that's why. And mine's funny because my past life was Virgo. And it's like I'm breaking free from that. That's well, Virgo's a doer too. I wonder what I don't even actually know what house is impacted by mine. While you're looking at that up, but I wrote this down, was South Node indicates past lives and a well of wisdom to draw upon in this lifetime. I love that. That's really cool. So another note on the chart to look for. But what's really cool about the South Node is it's pointing you to where you're going, which for me was the 12th house, which is spirituality and mystic. So in my own chart, you were in the lower half. I had 1 billion in the first
And then I'm in the 12th heavy again. And the 12th is mystical, spiritualism, death, rebirth, all that goodness. And my whole destiny in my chart points me there, and you too.
Yeah.
How it's so weird.
Crazy. No, it's crazy because this is why our life purpose is the same. Because the North Node is your life purpose and where your skills are going. So both of us came with like an action-oriented doer, like we know how to get stuff done, but now we're both focused on doing something for ourselves internally and like being the mystic, going internally, spirituality, and then sharing that. So your entire soul moves towards your North Node. And that's the direction that you're headed. So for us both to be in the 12th house, she basically said, my soul said, I'm coming to this life to learn and grow internally for my soul and spirituality, which is so cool.
So we could have and did for a hot minute think we got generic answers on that, but we had the same placement, which you guys, that like just makes me feel like some days we're like, should we keep doing the podcast because it's so busy our other lives? And this makes me think, no, we keep going, especially that this lines up together.
Right.
But yeah.
And you guys can pull the rising and like your nodes too, like the South and North Node individually. Because if you want to know like just about what those are, you can pull those.
It's absolutely wild. We made the conscious choice not to walk you through our birth charts. So these are like some of our bird's eye like notables. Anything else like juicy that's just a headline of your birth chart?
Well, not of my birth chart, but I don't know if we said this before, which I think is juicy, is that we talk so much about the rising sign, right? And so that's such a big part of like that starts your chart, that's everything, that's how you see the world. That actually changes every 2 hours. So you can be born on the same day as somebody, but have a different rising sign. So like, I thought that was that blew my mind. And that again, it makes us all so original and so different. So even if you have a birthday twin, it doesn't matter. They could have a different rising sign and see the world with a different pair of glasses on.
Yeah, totally. You just told me this today. I'm today years old that I learned this from you. Thank you. But what's so funny is I walked into an astrology reading and the person said, this is really weird. Someone who has your exact same birthday and year just walked in here and wasn't what I thought this birthday would be, the 11/11/77. And she said, you guys are so different. And that day I was under the assumption she was Scorpio, but that
makes
is not
so much
true.
sense.
I don't know. So the nuances of layers, it's so intricate that I love it. The deeper you go, it makes more sense of why things click or don't click, right?
Right?
I feel like I could have 50 birth chart readings and never stop.
Me too.
And I think you could keep going into them and focusing on more, right? So I need to tell you my second part of the woo-woo.
Yay.
Okay.
Okay, good.
And it sounds random, but it ain't.
Okay, do.
Okay,
good.
I know that we're going to record about this. So there's a little bit in the back of my mind. I also have a heavy work week. I've got a lot of designs. So in the shower, when the epiphany hit, I was thinking about my intake form of the client I'm designing her bedroom for. And one of my thoughts that I was thinking about was, I'm going to go design this today. I really want to tap into her. I do use woo-woo. When I'm about to design for someone, I like to close my eyes and almost do a meditation and just ask for their higher self to tap into my higher self. And that I could really vibe who they are as people. I always do this to try to connect. In any case, I was kind of pre-doing it a little bit, and I was remembering her intake form. She had said verbally that she wanted one thing, but I had this feeling that there was something, that she liked something else.
Okay.
This happens to me a lot. And I remembered in her form, she wrote, and it's random to write this, I was a professional diver and rower. I'm a Pisces through and through. And this stuck to me. It stuck to me because I was like, you know what? When I get out of here, I am going to go dig into Pisces and what Pisces really crave in the world and see if I'm right about the instincts of wanting to go a little bit of a different direction. And there was the epiphany. I need to know your birth chart with the laser focus of what your birth chart says you crave and need and want for design in order for me to design your room. It is a service I'm going to offer, and I'm going to figure out how the birth chart, which is so dead accurate on every level of our life, the code for you, Krissa, your design, and I want you to be a case study. I want a room in your house that you need to be done, and I'm doing it, and we're doing it through astrology. So here's the thought, and tell me if you're with me. how does it not give me the answers for you? So one of my biggest, most important parts of this is I would not let go of classical design. This is no hippy dippy. It says Scorpio likes auburn and black. I effing hate auburn. No, so I have to use true classic design, but I'm going to partner it with the option for design astrology. It's astrology-led design. Your birth chart identifies what your soul is actually wanting and craving in order for me to create your sanctuary. So my case study that morning with her, I come downstairs, I see the swans. The swans are in the water, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
And I come down and I start to dig into Pisces. Now, of course, I don't know her rising or moon or anything else, but the answer I was looking for was actually in it. She had liked feminine things, and I had this like feeling of like this fresh version of like layering floral patterns, which you know isn't normally me. And I just had this vision of it, but she had said she doesn't like a certain thing. And as I got into Pisces, I know that she likes this idea. Like the more I dug in, I'm like, I know I'm going to go on this route. So I went heavy into it. I can't report to you because I haven't done the presentation, but I am going to do birth chart readings specific to your design style that I could offer them a la carte, where if you wanted to know, everyone is lost in the world on what they really want. Like, so, right?
Yeah.
So I think the answers are in our chart. And so I even took the next step. I was so into it and emailed one of our astrologer friends. And I said, can you have coffee next week? I have this idea. And I don't even know if it's possible to extricate this information from the chart. She wrote back, it 100% is. This idea is amazing. I have full body chills. Let's do it. So what I think I want to do to start, because I don't understand this, is to have her do it with me. And then one day I will learn how to read so I can be the actual reader to pair it with. What do you think?
I love it. Okay. It's amazing. Okay. I'm like dying to see how it like plays out. It's
but
so cool.
I always thought it was more related to me psychically designing or like pulling tarot cards or whatever it was. And it made so much sense to me that of all the things we do, of all the things that we question, was that past life regression real? Was this real? Was that real? One of the most solid foundations of anything we've ever studied or experienced is birth chart reading.
We just said that. We literally said that. We said it's like a data.
It's data.
It's not. It's just all you're doing is you're pulling data to help inform like their decision. And like I've been working when you did my house. Like it was like I was so wishy-washy. I'm like I don't know. You get nervous, but if you use like your chart to inform the decision, and take it out of your hands a little bit, which is actually 100% in your hands. I love it. I cannot wait to see how it goes. So anyway,
I had to share that because now I really think it's in here. And I think that it's not meant to be 100% everything. I think it's really important that classical design is inserted in it and color theory and whatnot and what someone expresses. But I think it helps for the baseline decisions. Like you paid a designer to go one of two routes that I'm about to spend 10 hours designing. And I just felt it in my heart. Now, listen, a part of my astrology-led design is also using my intuition. And that's my version of psychic is I know what people want even if they don't express it in words often.
Right.
And so I'll combine that plus, most importantly, wishes that were actually expressed. But there's always an underlying current of what is in your chart, of what you really want. So I don't know.
I have so many questions. I can't wait to see how this thing comes. I'm dying. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good.
Anyway, I had to say that was part 2 of it.
I love it.
And let's also say, is it coincidence that this all came about this week?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think that's it.
I love it.
That's what I've been waiting for.
Yay!
All right.
Congratulations.
So bringing it back to birth chart. So anyway, I guess that's also my Venus, the Venus on my
on your
birth. Right. And in any case, and which separates spiritual and first house, right? The two houses that separate each other too, when you think about it.
Well, and they're close to each other. It's like this, the first.
They're on top of each other.
They're 12th and 1st.
They're literally connecting the two.
Yeah, they're connecting.
Wow.
So good. Wow. So good.
Right. Okay, this was a lot. I really hope you were looking at your chart so it helped you. And even if you weren't.
We'll post ours so you can see them.
Yes, you can see them. But I really, really hope you go and look up sun, moon, and rising at minimum. Mm-hmm. Go look them up. And then we really, really recommend getting your chart done.
And another one that's fun is find out where your Jupiter is, because that's considered a gift or good luck. So that's a big one. So if you're looking for a few quick hits, you can also do find out where your Pluto lands, because there's intensity around that one. So sometimes that can cause friction, or there's like an intense part of your life. If you want to know which house or maybe why there is some intensity in your life, you find Pluto there. That's a little something. We love our North Node and South Node for destiny and what our past lives gifts are. Some fun little things to go discover. Hopefully this was clear enough to get you guys wanting more.
Baseline to go explore.
Baseline.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Like the show? We love your support. Right now, we're doing an awesome giveaway. Leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Screenshot the review and send it to hello@soguided.com or DM us on Instagram at SoGuidedPodcast. You'll be entered to win a basket of our favorite woo-woo goodies, crystals, cacao, and all the high-vibe goodies we love. Thank you for listening. We've loved being your spiritual travel guides and hope this made you feel more connected. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast player. Your reviews help us create the guide that you are looking for. We'd also love to hear your stories.
You could follow and share your experiences with us on Instagram at So Guided Podcast. Your story might just be our next weekly woo-woo. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the universe. And remember, stay curious, ask the questions. You are so guided.